I'll call to order this meeting of the Okeechobee City Council. Today's date is October the 20th, 2020. The time is 6 p.m. I will remind anyone that is joining us by Zoom, if you would like to make comments, if you would either use the raise your hand feature or the chat, put in chat if you would like to make a comment, and our host here at City Hall will let us know. So you're welcome to make any comments, just as the public here. I will offer the invocation this evening. Councilmember Gerald will lead the pledge. If you're able, please rise. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight with thankful hearts. Thank you for the blessings that you allow us to enjoy. We pray that when we take your goodness for granted, that you would forgive us. As we come together tonight, we have many cares and concerns in our community and in our nation, in our world. We just pray that you would meet each of those, and we especially pray for those who have been affected by the COVID-19 virus, those that are ill, that you would give them healing, the caregivers, all the scientists that are working on vaccines, that you would be with them and guide them. We pray for our country, especially during this time of unrest, that you would give us guidance and direction, and we pray that each member of our country would exercise their right to vote as we're in our election season. As we come together as City Council, we pray for your guidance and direction in those decisions that we are to make here tonight, and we pray that each one of them would be in the best interest of the citizens that we serve and pleasing unto you. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, take council.
Mayor Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Abney.
Here.
Councilmember Clark. Here. Councilmember Gerald.
Here.
Councilmember Keith.
Here.
Quorum has been established by attendance.
Thank you. We will go first for requests for addition, control, or withdrawal of items on today's agenda. When you came in tonight, we have one item to add. That will be under new business, item E, which will be to consider a temporary street closing application submitted by First Baptist Church. That will be Exhibit 7. You have that at your place. We will add that as item E under new business. Are there any others? Hearing none, we'll ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by Councilmember Abney, second by Councilmember Gerald. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Motion carried. Madam Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, sir.
Any comments via Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. First, we have a proclamation, and I'll come down front to proclaim October 24th as World Polio Day. I understand we have representatives from Rotary Club. That's hard to say. That's hard to say. We will welcome you up, Melissa and Denise, if y'all would like to come forward. Just join me here. Proclamation, Office of the Mayor. Whereas Rotary is a global network of neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who unite and take action to create lasting change in communities across the globe. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, follow high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas Rotary in 1985 launched Polio Plus, and in 1988 helped establish the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Gavi Alliance, Vaccine Alliance, to immunize and the children of the world against polio. And whereas polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. And whereas today, Rotary has contributed more than $2.1 billion and countless volunteer hours to protect impacting more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. And whereas Rotary is working to raise an additional $50 million per year, which will be leveraged for maximum impact by an additional $100 million annually from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And whereas these efforts are providing much needed operational support, medical staff, laboratory equipment, and educational materials for health workers and parents. And whereas in addition, Rotary has played a major role in decisions by donor governments to contribute more than $10 billion to the effort. And whereas there are over 1.2 million Rotary members in more than 35,000 clubs throughout the world that sponsor service projects to address such critical issues as poverty, disease, hunger, illiteracy, and the environment in their local communities and abroad. Now therefore, I, Dowling R. Watford Jr., Mayor of the City of Okeechobee, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2020 as World Polio Day in Okeechobee, and encourage all citizens to join me and Rotary International in the fight for a polio-free world. Congratulations. Do you want to take a photo, Ron? You want us in front of the podium, right? Well, sorry. I've been given instructions here. And you have before, you may address the council.
Well, on behalf of Rotary, I would like to thank you for this proclamation. For more than 30 years, Rotary and our partners have driven the effort to eradicate polio worldwide by focusing on advocacy, fundraising, volunteer recruitment, and awareness building. What is polio? It is a virus spread from person to person, typically through contaminated water. It can attack the nervous system and in some instances lead to paralysis. It mainly affects children under the age of 5. There is no cure, but is preventable with a vaccine. Rotary has contributed more than $2.1 billion and countless volunteer hours to protect more than 2.5 billion children in 122 countries. In 1988, there were 350,000 cases in 125 countries every year. Today, we have reduced polio cases by 99.9%, and just 2 countries remain endemic, Afghanistan and Pakistan. With adequate resources, the commitment of national governments, and innovations that improve access to remote areas, we are optimistic that we can eliminate polio. Rotary's commitment is to raise $50 million per year, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has pledged to match that 2-to-1 for a total commitment of $150 million each year. If all eradication efforts stop today, within 10 years, polio will paralyze as many as 200,000 children each year. Until we end polio forever, every child is at risk. Help us to persevere. We are this close. So,
You have a bag here.
I do, and to help Rotary with our fundraising, we are asking establishments to put these little polio pigs around to collect funds. So I have 4 here, one for each department.
Does anybody besides you remember when we got the polio vaccine and we had to go to the health department? Anybody from the health department used to be right over here? I think put it on a sugar cube, didn't they? Something like that. I've been told about it. I remember doing that. We all went. That's a great project.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm the only one here that's old enough to remember.
Yes.
All right, we will move on then. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any council member would like to have removed? Hearing none, we will have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Key,
Second.
second by Councilmember Clark to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next, we will open the public hearing for the first reading of an ordinance. We need a motion to read by title only. Ordinance number 1218 regarding LDR text amendment application number 20-001-TA. Do we have a motion to read by title only? I have a motion by Councilmember Gerald. We have a second. Second by Councilmember Clark. Read by title only. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. That's Exhibit 3 in your packet. Mr. Attorney, are you prepared to read the ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. Ordinance of the City of Okeechobee amending Chapter 90 of the Land Development Regulations of the City of Okeechobee, amending Section 90-162, revising permitted uses in the residential home zoning district, amending Section 90-165, revising minimum lot and structure requirements, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. Next, we need a motion to approve the first reading and set November the 17th, 2020 as final public hearing date. Have a motion by Councilmember Clark. We have a second. Second by Councilmember Gerald. We'll open it up for discussion. Ben, are you going to fill us in on this one? If you would come to the podium, please, sir. I'd just like to remind everybody, since we're on Zoom, if you need to try to speak into your microphone as loudly and clearly as possible. Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Good evening, Ben Smith with LaRue Planning. The city received an inquiry from a builder regarding development rights in the RMH zoning district, and we became aware of several issues regarding the RMH district and how that district also works within the single-family future land use definition as well. First of all, the permitted uses, the list of permitted uses in the RMH district was not, in our opinion, very clear in terms of how those uses work with how those uses were defined. Also, the required setbacks, there were some issues there, and the allowable density that's permitted in the single-family future land use district versus the RMH district. So I'm going to go through each of those separately. So first off, in the permitted uses, under section 90-162, subsection 2, it permits a mobile home park with one mobile home per lot. And if you look at the definitions that are provided for a mobile home park, as well as the definition provided for a mobile home subdivision, you see that a mobile home park means land under single ownership, which is used to supply the public space for the placement of occupancy of 2 or more mobile homes as dwelling units, versus a mobile home subdivision is divided as subdivision of land to sale of lots, the placement of occupancy of mobile homes. So mobile home park, single ownership, mobile home subdivision, individual lots. And so in the context of those definitions, we thought that mobile home park with one mobile home per lot may have been not worded as well as it. The other part that we noticed is under subsection 8, it allows as a permitted use site-built or modular single-family homes on lots in mobile home parks existing as of August 1st, 2007. We did a little research on that language and found that it was adopted a few years ago with the intent of allowing single-family homes to be built on mobile home lots. Okay. However, we feel that that language is not perfect either, and we've recommended a few changes you'll see in the ordinance to that language to sort of clarify how that works. So first of all, under subsection 2, we would strike the word lot, one mobile home per site, so that you're talking about sites instead of lots specifically. And then make sure that each site is meeting the lot and site area requirements of section 90-165, and that's important for density. And then, under subsection 8, we were basically removing the language that said, leaving the language that says site built or modular single-family homes, so make sure that's permitted use in the district, but removing the restriction on lots in mobile home parks existing as of August 1st, 2007, and instead creating a new subsection that says mobile homes and single-family homes on undersized lots that have existed since August 1st, 2007. And that will allow for single-family homes to be built on lots that may be non-conforming to the minimum lot size requirements, as long as they've been in existence since 2007. So as long as that lot has been around, even if it's non-conforming to the minimum lot size requirements, you can still put a single-family home on it. So that allows for transition from mobile homes on those lots to single-family homes, or just vacant to a lot of those single-family homes, which allows for higher building standards. So those are the changes we're recommending to the permitted uses. We also noticed that the setback requirements, if you see under subsection, section 90-165, it'll get subsection 3. It had a setback requirement, a district yard minimum of 20 feet on all property boundaries. That requirement doesn't seem to make sense. First off, it's not clear what a district yard minimum is, but it also doesn't seem to make sense in the context of the other setback requirements, which for mobile homes and single-family homes, you could have a setback as little as 10 feet for the sides and the rear. And it seems like this 20-foot requirement could be saying, no, it's actually 20 feet. And so we didn't understand where that came from or how it was applied. And so we're just suggesting that that be removed so that you can in fact have the 10-foot setback in the sides and the rear without any question that it needs to be 20. So that's a pretty simple change. Finally, the density. If you look at, so first off, the RMH zoning district is only appropriate for the single-family future land use map designation, okay? And if you look at the language regarding density in this single-family future land use map designation, it says maximum density is 4 units per acre for residential units on individual lots and 6 units per acre for mobile home parks. Where affordable housing is provided in accordance with Housing Policy 1.6, the maximum density for single-family development shall be 5 units per acre. So what it's saying is the very maximum density you could have would be 6 units per acre. The problem is that the minimum lot size, as it is currently shows at 5,000 square feet, if you permitted lots to be that small, you would end up with density much higher than 6 dwelling units per acre. So, in that regard, we felt like we should make that minimum lot size larger, so that you don't have this conflict between the comprehensive plan and the zoning district. Now, of course, that will make some lots non-conforming, but keep in mind we're putting that use, clarifying the uses section that those non-conforming lots can still be developed. You just can't make new ones that would be this 5,000 square foot size. So the comp plan language will stay the same, your density in the comp plan will stay the same, but you're raising that minimum lot size requirement for mobile home subdivisions. I know I just said a lot, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, staff? No, Councilman Bradley.
We've got mobile homes, single-family homes, on undersized lots have existed since August 1, 2007. Is there a significance about that date?
That was the date that was existing in the code, and I think that was the last time that it was being checked with the clerk. That was the last time this ordinance, or this part of the code had been updated. So presumably, there shouldn't have been any new lots created that were smaller before that time. We could talk about changing that date to the adoption of this ordinance, if you prefer that. But that was what was existing.
Where the A came from, why was it there?
That was the last time this ordinance was changed.
I think that's all I have.
Other questions? Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you. We'll open it up for public, any public comments on ordinance number 1218. Public comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll bring it up here for discussion. Any discussion or questions from the council? Okay, we'll vote on the first reading and setting November 17th, 2020 as the final public hearing day. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Sorry.
Attorney.
So, Mr. Abney's raised a good question about that date. And frankly, it's going to create, maybe unwittingly, an envelope of people in no man's land. I would, I just spoke, I would recommend we make the effective date today. Because then the status of those that happened since 07 to now would be fairly uncertain. I can't imagine it's a large category, but is that a,
I think that's
I don't want to undermine what was discussed at planning board, but I think that's okay. Mr. Mayor, I'd recommend that we make the effective date today. So that would be for,
Okay, under section 2, 9, then have existed since, and then we would just put, you want today's date or the final public hearing date?
you're right, final public hearing date would be best. So that's section 2, paren 9.
Parentheses 9 would read November the 17th, 2020. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I guess we need a motion to amend the ordinance to change the date from August the 1st, 2007 to November the 17th, 2020. We have a motion to amend. Have a motion by Councilmember Abney, second by Councilmember Gerald to amend the date. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Yeah.
I just have to thank you, the city attorney for amending the negotiation.
All right, so we'll vote on the motion to amend. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Now we'll vote on the ordinance as amended to set the public hearing date. Any questions on where we are? Okay. All right, we'll vote on the motion as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. That closes the public hearing. We'll go on to new business. The first item under new business, we need to read ordinance number 1219 by title only regarding LDR text amendment application number 20-002-TA. Before we, is that still under a public hearing? No, it's not. Okay. The other one was, but this one is.
Correct. Whenever you amend the permitted uses of any zoning district, the first reading and final public hearing are both required to be held.
I learned something after 40 years. Okay, so we need a motion to read proposed ordinance number 1219 by title only. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilmember Gerald, have a second by Councilmember Clark. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. That ordinance is exhibit 4 in your packet, ordinance number 1219. Mr. Attorney, are you prepared to read it?
Yes, sir. I finally learned how to open it in Nitro. So
Okay, good. Well, you're ahead of some of us.
Ordinance of the City of Okeechobee amending Chapter 70 of the Land Development Regulations of the city, amending Section 70-340, broadening the applicability of the findings required for granting petitions, amending Form 1 of Appendix A to clarify procedures for comp plan amendment petitions, amending amending Form 3 of Appendix A to clarify procedures for zoning district boundary change petitions, creating Form 19 in Appendix A to provide standards and procedures for administratively initiated comp plan future land use map amendments, creating Form 20 in Appendix A to provide standards, Form 20 in Appendix A to provide standards and procedures for administratively initiated zoning district boundary change petitions, providing for conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
Okay, we need a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 1219 and set November the 17th, 2020 as final public hearing date. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilmember Clark, second by Councilmember Keith. Henry, you want to address, we'll ask staff to address this first on this.
The origination of this ordinance, as you may know, we've been discussing city-initiated map changes with the planning board quite a bit lately. This is sort of in preparation for if and when the city does decide to move forward with that. We thought it would be appropriate to think about how that process could be streamlined for the city a little bit. Reducing a couple of the requirements. We checked around with the way some other municipalities and how Okeechobee County has done this in the past. We think that as long as you've identified everything appropriately on maps and aerials, there's no reason to have a survey requirement for all those properties. Legal descriptions are sufficient. And so creating new forms within your section of the code where you lay out all the requirements for forms, creating new ones for city-initiated rezoning and city-initiated future land use map amendment with those simplified requirements. Just clarifying a little bit of the language about when an application comes forward for rezoning, what the criteria would be for that and how that would be reviewed. You'll see that's the first section of this proposed ordinance is sort of generalizing that language a little bit instead of saying the use or saying the request is not contrary and such. So just sort of clarifying that. But this is, yeah, if you have any questions.
Questions of staff? Councilmember Abby, yes, sir.
So if we're gonna change the rules on how the city goes about this, does this change how an applicant goes about it as well?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought this up. We actually did make a couple small changes to the way that appears in the applications for the applicant requested changes as well. And really, the changes that you're seeing are how they're actually processed due to statutory requirements about public hearings. Clarifying that there's a planning board hearing first, and then there's two hearings by the council, clarifying that in the process section of those application sections. We thought was appropriate.
As far as surveys and that sort, that would not be a requirement then?
No. You would still, if you're an applicant requesting a rezoning, you would still have to have a survey.
That the city will require on its
For
own.
themselves.
Yeah. Is that a legal, maybe a legal issue?
No, we checked around. This is pretty commonly done.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure if we're telling one certain person they have to and we don't have to, we're okay.
Yes, actually, and Ben, look and find other examples, and this has been an issue we've been talking about for 6 months, and we're comfortable with what we've got here.
Thank you.
Other questions for Ben? Thank you very much, Ben. And this isn't officially a public hearing, but I'll ask you to make public comment or something on the 1219. Oh, no.
Please prepare.
Well, my
State
question
your name for the rest.
Steve Dobson, 62 Jake's Way, 209 Second Street, on the public place. Question, and I know that there are a number of parcels in the city that, future land use doesn't match, and I guess my question is, if somebody came in and had that situation, could that be a city initiated, it's like, look, I need to do this, I can't do, number one, they can't do anything with the property as it is, because it doesn't match. And I also know that there are parcels, it's like the dentist office behind our office is on a multi-family piece of property. Well, it's obviously a commercial venture, commercial business and all that kind of stuff. They may not even know it. I don't know. I know it because I've done some work in the area and all that kind of stuff. And that's just my question. Is this, in those situations, and there's some of them out there, could that be, even if the applicant came in and wanted to do that, since like I say, it's partial, they would have to do something with a partial anyway. They either have to change the zoning or they got to change the compromise. Could that be classified as city initiated?
It's a great question, and how are we going to determine that? Right. And I think Ben, you have an answer for that, Ben?
Well, yes. I just have a little bit of a preview of what the planning board is working on right now, what we're working on with the planning board. There are a lot of map discrepancies, he's absolutely correct. We were directed to start looking at the properties that are zone holding first, and so we've been doing a lot of workshops with the planning board, and what they are moving forward with now is creation of a program that would allow for property owners of properties zone holding to come forward and request. They would be the ones requesting it, but you would be adopting an ordinance that would initiate a temporary program whereby, yes, the requirements would be reduced somewhat, the survey would be required, and it would run for a limited time. And they're even tossing around the idea of maybe reduced application fees for those applicants. So there's still bit more work to be done. We're hammering out what the details would be, and our next step is to go property by property and create some recommendations for what those map changes would be, and say if the city would support a change from holding to, let's say, single-family residential for this particular piece of property versus maybe another piece of property the city would support a different change. So if the property owner would then come in and request the changes in conformance with what the city has said they support, it could be a very streamlined process, no survey required, and hopefully you wouldn't have to hire a lot of professionals to get this done. The application come in and get it done.
Does that kind of answer your?
Yes.
We're working.
This would be
It's in the mail.
solution.
We did something similar when we changed the zoning regulations. I know holding people were given an opportunity to request a certain. We did that once before, so we have a good precedent for that. Okay, seeing no other public comments, we'll bring it back up. Any discussion from the council?
I'm not saying, I'm glad that they finally.
Let's step in the right direction.
It's being addressed. Thank you.
All right, so we'll vote on the motion to adopt the first reading and accept November the 17th as the final public hearing date. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The next item is item B. We need a motion to adopt proposed resolution number 2020-18, creating the Flagler Park Improvement Citizen Board, Exhibit 5 in your packet. We have a motion by Councilmember Gerald. Second by Councilmember Heath. We'll open up for discussion. Mr. Attorney, do you want to make comments or?
Yes, sir. Very briefly, at the last city council meeting, there was a discussion about proposed Flagler Park improvements, and after some discussion, city council directed the creation of an advisory committee to participate in and make recommendations on Flagler Park design and improvements, and create a forum to solicit citizen input regarding potential improvements and enhancement to the park. So we have, and the resolution creates a Flagler Park Design Review Advisory Committee. It would be comprised of 7 members appointed by City Council, along with 2 alternate members. Terms would be for 1 year. Unless there's City Council action to the contrary, the committee would sunset after 1 year. Members of the advisory committee would be subject to sunshine, ethics, and public records laws. And among other things, the resolution outlines the rules of conduct and for the committee, the scope of the committee, and authority of the chair. City administrator or his designee would serve as a non-voting ex officio member, and city administrator staff would serve as support for the committee.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Councilmember Mark?
I would like to see us expand the ex officio member group, only because I think it seemed to be the consensus of the board that we wanted this board to be encompass the entire community. And I think, even today, Denise is here, and she heads up Parks and Recreation for the county. She's very experienced in grant writing and getting some great things happening in the parks. And as she said in our meeting earlier today, at the Tourist Development Council meeting, that if our parks look good, her parks look good, and if her park looks good, our parks look good. So I think we have to work together, and I'd like to see that expanded.
Councilmember Andrews, you have a comment?
Just a question on the 7 members, is there any minimal requirements other than the county? Or are we gonna try and get some people from different various affiliations, or is it gonna be basically at large, and we stay applied? Council select? How that will work?
I mean, so,
Yeah, I'm just looking to see that.
yeah, section 5, it's basically says that no member or alternate member shall be an employee or hold any elective office at the city. And there is if my memory serves me correct, that they'd be either a resident or business owner.
And I didn't see that. That's
Yeah,
what
we'll
I
get
was-
with the language.
that we did for the charter committee.
Yes, sir.
I think we had that discussion at our last meeting, that we did not want to limit them to city business owners or,
So it could just be any,
yes.
We don't want to limit it to county either, it could be anyone. Or it may be it, then city and or
I don't foresee anybody from Martin County or Palm Beach County coming over to apply for our parks committee, but if it needs to be stated, it certainly should encompass Okeechobee County at large. I agree with that.
I think the reason we had that discussion was because we were talking about one of the parks maybe having the Seminole tribe involved. And they are in Glades County and Bay County and other places. So we thought we could.
yeah, we did have that.
And anticipating that, I left it wide open.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
You remember.
Any council member, and does that meet your,
yes, sir, I'm good with that.
I remember we had that, but we had that discussion.
I do agree with Councilmember Clark about looking at additional exhibition, would be great.
Yeah, and there may be other areas of expertise that we want included in that also. For example, I guess you would want to say, I don't know if you want to say your landscape architect's an ex officio member. And I don't know if we want to let the committee determine those ex officio members once they get together.
wants to tap into expertise, they have that right, they can invite people. You know, once they become a member, they're subject to sunshine, then they can't interact outside of the meeting. I'd almost rather they not be members. That's a good thing, every once in a while.
That is, I just remember the clerk talking about when we did the Centennial Committee, they were really frustrated that they couldn't, they were under the Sunshine Law, and I think one of the members said, well, we could have had this done in 2 weeks if we could have, we could have talked about it outside of a public meeting, so that may be a good point. Will that meet your, let them just invite who they want to speak,
What,
They could, okay, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask as far as, what is the purview of the ex officio member? Obviously, if they're an ex officio member, they fall in the sunshine. And obviously, can't force anybody to come to meetings. So, now, I would like, I stated this the last meeting, I want, participation from all the stakeholders that can affect or impact and or will be impacted by this. I think somebody else said it, you can't force somebody from any group to come. Certainly invite as many as I come across, and I'd love to have county parks and rec, represented and involved and highly encouraged. So if it's better, if the committee's better served by those experts not being under sunshine, it's highly encouraged them.
Yeah, the only reason I put city administrators ex officios, these committees live or die based on the level of staff support. And so I don't anticipate that the administrator will, but he'll put whoever's going to support this effort as an ex officio member so they can help get the job done.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, the idea as well, and just from my standpoint, looking in, is when we have these meetings, there may be different topics because we will have prepared agenda, so maybe something we discuss part one per se. So we may have VFW or the American Legion here to discuss part one, who may not be as involved in, say, part five. So that's why I like the idea of us not being tied down each one so they can kind of interact before they present. And that, just my thoughts. And that way we can get more involvement. And we may not get involvement from everyone for every meeting, but we can get involvement from each group to the meeting that's important. Yes.
That's a good thought. Yeah, that way.
Question on that, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Who will be responsible for inviting, requesting their attendance? You, your staff, or the chairperson of the committee?
Well, once we have the initial meetings, we'll see what the chair wants to tackle first, or what the committee would like to tackle first. And then from there, it will be me or staff determining on how they get the invite out and make sure we get the word out.
And
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
just, the chair, the way these are drafted, the chair has a lot of authority. The chair is the key person. They set the agenda. They run the meeting. They develop the agenda. So that person is really gonna.
They got more power than the mayor's got. Wow. Yeah.
Could we consider someone from the county, maybe, someone from the county as an ex officio on this, on our board?
You mean the county staff?
Well, yeah, from county,
We won't have county applicants, I'm sure.
no, from county staff. Because, and we keep talking about Parks and Rec, and I don't know if Denise would be allowed to be on the committee, but she's gonna be under sunshine anyway.
Not really. I did not say I'd rather not, because again, I can go talk to Denise individually on something, not up here and have to wait till the meeting to discuss. So I actually limit every ex officio as minimal as possible,
Oh, okay.
so we can have more public involvement.
All right.
And I think going to these,
Don't worry,
probably gonna be interested enough. May I ask, it says that the city administrator and his city administration support staff would be provided by the city administrator's office. Just for clarification, who is going to take the minutes and, that?
We will work on that, workload wise, I'll probably coordinate some with Wayne, coordinate with Patty, because we're also gonna have charter committee at the same time, so it's gonna be.
Stretched off within.
Correct, there's two different meetings, and that's why we're gonna kind of divvy back and discuss on what we're gonna do.
I just don't want to leave you hurt for assistant custodian of the record, so we want to be
Yes.
sure that.
Sorry, Patty.
Okay, other discussion? Everybody happy with, or somewhat happy? Maybe we're not completely happy, but somewhat happy. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. I guess we need to read the resolution into the record. Mr. Attorney, would you mind reading the resolution into the record?
Yes, sir. Resolution 2020-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Okeechobee establishing the Flagler Park Design Review Advisory Committee.
Other discussion from the council. This isn't a public hearing, but I will open it up to the public if you want to make comments. This is an important issue. Oh, we must have done it right then. All right, okay. All right, we'll vote on the motion to adopt the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next item is item C. Consideration of appointment of Wes Abney as ex officio member of the Charter Review Committee. This was requested by Councilmember Clark. I don't know if who wants to take the, Mr. Attorney, you have any comments, or Mr. Administrator, or Councilmember Clark, you all would like to, I don't know, to discuss.
Yeah, just to recap, for council, to talk, to add, Councilman Abney to come in after we start, or after he leaves office, to come in to continue one of these items later, but as ex officio now, at least come through the meetings and start that was, I guess, the actual design of it, or one of the proposed motion to go forward that way. So you have the council, and I don't know, so the attorney, if it's a way to do both of those in one action, or would the committee have to do a separate motion to approve as a board member after he would leave office?
I would do it as a separate action on leaving office.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilmember Clark to appoint Wes Abney as ex officio member to the Charter Review Committee.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Heath. Okay. Discussion?
I have a question,
Yes.
because we always, know whether or not ex officio members are voting or non-voting members. I prefer to just the attorney if that's to be specified in the motion.
Under the charter review resolution, ex officio is non-voting.
Right.
So this is non-voting.
Okay.
And this is a position until my term ends as council, and then I would just become a member.
The council would have to reconsider that.
Reconsider at that time.
But in the meantime, I think there's probably going to be a lot of discussion and information. The idea was you to be able to participate in that.
Same thing. And my also question is, do I vote on this or not? I didn't get a chance to start.
There's no financial
No,
gain.
it's fine.
You give yourself more work.
And Councilmember Abney, I'll just make the same comment I made last time. I just don't feel like it's right that once we set the committee, we start adding to it. I think it opens up a door that we may have problems with that. But I hope you understand. Okay. All right, we'll vote on the motion then. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll vote no. Okay. You are appointed as an ex officio. Congratulations, you got something else to do now.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is item D. Consideration of the City of Okeechobee, Okeechobee County Fire Service interlocal agreement, Exhibit 6, and the attorney handed you, I guess, the latest and greatest interlocal as we arrived here. So we will open it up for discussion. So, Council, Mr. Attorney, do you want to begin the discussion, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Just very briefly, we started this journey about 90 days ago, and I think it was at the July 21st, 2020 meeting, the city council directed that we directly engage in negotiations with Okeechobee County. Since that time, there have been many interactions with not just Okeechobee County, but union officials, pension experts, labor union experts, and many others. And I really want to say I appreciate the county administrator and county attorney's efforts to work with us. They really stepped up and taken a great deal of time to work with us in moving the ball forward. So at the October 6th meeting, you were provided with an update, and at that meeting, City Council provided some additional direction, which resulted in additional language in this agreement. The direction was first the creation of the 3 temporary positions at the county funded by the city. It's a not to exceed 3 positions. The county would consider these individuals as temporary employees. Again, the idea would be that these positions would allow additional time for certain city fire personnel to successfully obtain their paramedic certification. At the last meeting, City Council direction also included that if any one of the 7 fire personnel that are currently in the paramedic program, if in the unfortunate event that one or more of them were unsuccessful in obtaining paramedic certification before the commencement date. So as I understand it, they should know whether, at least those currently enrolled should know by March if they're certified or not. And I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, there even could be a window for a second attempt at taking the exam prior to the June 1st, 2021 commencement date. I heard that, I'm not sure. Hopefully that is the case. But in the event one of the 7 in the program now are not successfully certified by the June 1st, 2021 commencement date, they would be given preference for one of the 3 temporary positions. So there's language in here reflecting that city council direction. And then again, to make sure that there are no problems, no mistakes, no hidden issues, I have retained 2 experts. One is an attorney based in Tallahassee who practices exclusively in the area of pension law. He's very well versed on, his name is Jim Lynn. He represents taxing districts and cities throughout the state. He is reviewing the agreement. He may have some minor comments. I actually spoke to him on the drive over. Those comments, I would say, are minor, not material, changing a word here and there. However, in that regard, the Florida Division of Retirement is reviewing this matter. There actually is somebody, it's not an FRS, it's somebody in Tallahassee who specifically oversees city firefighter pension funds. So that person is reviewing this agreement to ensure there are no implications, but I just want you to know that's still in play. We're hopeful that they will complete the review in the next couple of weeks, but they will not commit to the timetable. The current language in the agreement would allow the existing fire personnel the option of remaining with the city pension plan or opting into the county FRS plan. I have directed our pension attorney to make sure that's doable. I think that's something that's important to this council, to make sure they have that option. We also, India has pulled her in, dragged her in, maybe, to help here. We're having an actuarial study conducted to assess the potential financial liability to the city in a best and worst case scenario. This was recommended by our pension attorney, and with his help, that's underway. So as you can tell, and I'm not going to get into the details, there's a lot of moving pieces. I think Marcos and I participated in over a half dozen conference calls last week. But the bottom line is this agreement is pretty much the final form. I spoke yesterday to the county attorney and county administrator. They're supportive of the agreement. They didn't have any other comments or questions regarding the agreement. There are now 4 exhibits. Those exhibits have not been finalized, but keep in mind those exhibits are well understood. Exhibit A is a list of employees to be hired by the county. That's the 7. Between now and the commencement date, we'll know who's going to be certified and put on that list. Exhibit B is the temporary positions, so that's still in flux. Exhibit C is a pension election form. It's a form that's being developed by our pension. It's going to be 1-page, simple form. And then Exhibit D, I know the chief is working on a detailed inventory of vehicles and equipment that would be transferred to the county. That's in play. And so I think those are pretty well understood and on file in terms of the exhibit. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilman, do you want to, I guess a motion is in order, excuse me, to approve the interlocal at this point? Is that what-
Yes, sir.
So motion is in order, or if you want to make a motion, or if you want to discuss first, whichever.
I move to approve the interlocal agreement between Okeechobee County and the city of Okeechobee for fire service in substantial conformance with the draft dated October 12th that has been presented tonight, recognizing that there may be additional refinements to the agreement, including those addressing labor and pension issues. If there are material changes to the interlocal agreement hereafter, staff is directed to present such changes to the council for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Gerald. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Clark. Okay, we'll open up for discussion. Questions, comments?
I just want to make sure that I understand that the longevity is still being worked out. There'll be some extra longevity pays to the firefighters. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, I think we had that, at our last meeting, and which, I think we chose one of the two, we chose the option that,
There's two different things, Mr. Mayor. So one is,
you know, about the longevity pay that we, for the severance, like severance pay.
Severance is
That's
one.
it.
Oh, severance, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. I apologize. Talking about longevity for the firefighters can carry over to the county.
Mr. Mayor, I actually spoke to Mr. Abney today. Pursuant to that, I spoke to our personnel administrator, AKA HR director, as well as the city administrator, and we are going to get it done. We're going to make revisions to whatever. I'm not, after talking to our personnel administrator, we're not sure where we're going to go and make those changes, and it's going to be a priority.
It's my understanding that ordinances had to be changed so that longevity pay could be made out to these firefighters. That's my understanding, and that's what's going to happen, correct?
I'm trying to, because I think it's the intent, but if we change that, it's going to be for all. That longevity service, the way it's written in the code now, is for all employees. So if it's carved out, I don't know how we break it out. That was the question talked about today.
My understanding is something had to be changed in the ordinance to facilitate what we're wanting to do.
Right, in the employee handbook is a $750 limit for certain longevity. And again, I haven't made a deep dive into this, focusing on the agreement, but I'm confident that the city administrator and personnel administrator will jump on this and make it happen, whatever changes need to be made.
I know
Bring
we're
it back.
Yeah, one of the discussion was we know to remove the dollar figures anyway, they seem dated. Again, then it would be up to council as to how we would address those individuals.
We're trying to make this as full as possible for the employees, and this was one of the ways to do it, and including that with the payout that we had structured before. So I want to make sure that it's added into it with it.
I think at this moment, I don't think we could commit to that, but we are working on it. I think it's kind of the,
We can't commit.
I don't think we can commit that we can do that yet, can we?
I think staff can commit to bring back some recommended changes to give you some flexibility in making that
So maybe we can.
decision.
Okay, so we can make that, we just gotta, like you say, change. The directions.
When would we see that, next meeting?
To remove dollar figures is straightforward, it's just want to make sure that.
Yeah, it's, again,
We'll come back within a month around there, make sure we get it flushed out.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
other discussion? Oh, okay, yeah, just one second. Any other discussions from the council? I'd like to ask a couple of things, just since we're talking about the agreement. Do we know what vehicles they're going to request? Vehicles? I know we don't have that deep, but I've heard, what do they want? One pumper and the ladder truck, or what do they want?
As of right now, it was just dedicated to the ladder, the pump, however, the equipment's where we came a little
No,
off.
I'm talking about vehicles, I'm just talking
Okay.
about vehicles. They want a pickup truck. I've been told about 3 different items, so what equipment, are you prepared to answer that, or do you want, I mean, somebody has to know what they're asking us for.
I have been in touch with Franklin, with Chief Franklin, about the equipment and the vehicles. I have asked him what he needs, and, talking with the administrator, I told, I gave him the list. But I don't know if this has been worked out, so.
What vehicle, can somebody tell
A
me,
ladder,
what vehicles are they asking for?
ladder one, engine 9, and currently a pickup truck.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Okay, the only concern I have, and we put it back in, is pickup truck, we're talking about this year. And it'll come back on the next council meeting, there's an item that's coming up. We'll be in discussion on why the pickup may stay here and offset with other equipment, et cetera. But right now, those are the only 3 things.
Are we gonna need it?
Yes, sir. We're gonna be a vehicle down, we're probably gonna purchase one less. And that'll be.
That's what they're asking for, is offer 9, the ladder truck, and 1 pickup. Okay, thank you, that's all, I don't want to get into equipment. Okay, okay. I just want to, okay, all right. And we're giving them those vehicles at no charge.
Yes.
Okay. And on the inspection fees, we are remitting quarterly, all fire plan review fees and inspection fees that we collect.
Correct.
Okay, and we're not receiving any, like, collection fee, like a credit card, they charge 2 or 3% to collect it. We're not receiving any collection fee. We've given everything to them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And, the fire station, let's see, for storage, we're letting them use, let's see, is this the house here? It doesn't really specify, they're not going to use the fire station. So I'm assuming they're just using the bays,
Yes,
just the bays.
just the base, yes, sir.
None of the offices or
No, sir.
nothing
Just the base.
upstairs, then just the bays.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we get no reimbursement for that, but are they paying utilities, they're paying, they'll pay water, sewer, electric bill, so they are paying utilities,
And a portion of the insurance as well.
and portion of the insurance. Does it say insurance? Don't see that in there.
It's not in here.
We discussed that.
What's in here is water, sewer, and electric.
Yeah.
Period.
So we're not adding any charges. They're just paying water, sewer, and light. Okay. Okay, is that right?
That's what this says.
If you pay, how can they, what sewer are they paying?
I don't know.
If they're here, they'll still come in, they'll be able to use the bathroom in the facility, it'll still be a city business, or a city building, they just wouldn't be utilizing it for storage.
No, unit for storage, they wouldn't.
Correct, just for
storage.
storage.
Costs.
Correct.
Okay, okay, I just want to clarify those.
And the language is the city apparatus storage base.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can we go back to inspection fees again? Are we talking inspection fees? Are we talking about the inspection fees for when there's a new set of plans and doing inspections? Are we talking about the inspection fees for the businesses that pay when they come around to inspect the buildings?
When an application would come in for a new development, they would be dealing directly with the county, so we would obtain those fees and pay those fees to the county. For the inspection fees for each BTR would be the same thing.
Well, in the county meeting, Robbie stated that those fees would be coming back to the city.
She did, but that changed. She did make that comment, you were exactly correct.
She said because we were paying in our fee to the county, in our local fee, we're paying for that inspection.
I can tell you, I specifically addressed this question to Robbie and the city attorney. I have a detailed email where that's not her position.
I think what they're saying is that, I don't know if that inspector, I assume he's paying out the fire. But
No,
they're saying he's not.
yeah, no, that was their explanation to me.
Is what?
It's
He's not paid out of the fire tax, like fire tax.
But it is coming out of our fees. We're paying for that inspector as part of our interlocal agreement.
We're only paying what our fire assessment would be. That's our fee that we're paying. What
I
about?
thought it was not to exceed, I know, but again, I'm sorry. I thought it was not to exceed, what we would pay in fire assessment, but they broke down what we were actually paying for. We were paying for 6 fire positions and 1 inspector position.
They originally did that, they gave us a figure that they would charge us. That's out the window. Right now, we're gonna pay what the fire assessment would be for the city. There's no more of this where you're paying for 7 firefighters and.
That went away about 13 drafts ago.
Okay. I didn't
So
understand that.
the fee we pay the county is equal to what the fire assessment would be in the city. All that has changed, but I agree with you, that's exactly what we were talking about.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions from the council? Okay, Chief Smith, I think you wanted to address this, so we'll.
Just for clarification, you know,
Yeah.
First, thank you for trying to take care of everybody. And then, thank you for that, for trying to figure this out. Making the whole talk, I do appreciate it. And just continue that. For clarification purposes of the 3 positions that are, the ones that are going, let's say that one of the 7 originals that you talked about, that are, one of them doesn't, you know, they don't get the clarification. You're saying that they can now bump one of the 3 positions that are already engaged as being employed, they can actually bump them out of their spot? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir, that was the city council discussion and direction at the last meeting.
Can we kind of talk about that to you? What happens is because we have committed to the county, well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. We committed to the county that we would be sending 7 paramedics. if we don't provide them with 7 paramedics, we are still gonna get billed for 7 paramedics. They're just gonna have to go out and hire another paramedic. Is that, are you following me? So what happens, but through attrition, those people will fill open positions. If it's an EMT position that opens up in the county, those positions will automatically,
Within 2 years.
well, it doesn't matter. If there's an EMT position that becomes open at the county, one of those 3 positions will automatically get filled in through the county. It wouldn't be a city position anymore.
Right, so the county, again, based on historic attrition rates, they could easily absorb 3 positions in 2 years. Pardon me?
Let's say it doesn't happen.
Then those positions will cease to exist after 2 years.
That's what I'm
Right.
asking.
Right, so, yeah, they're gonna, they won't exist anymore after 2 years.
So basically what you're saying is there is a possibility of the 3 going in EMTs and going to paramedic school that they could possibly be bumped out and it's over, right?
As far as the city pays.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
And I have one more question, I apologize, the city fire station, do we have a time limit on that, or is it just?
Yes, sir. 2 years. It's section 7.
Oh, for 2 years, I didn't read the beginning of the first sentence, I'm sorry, 2 years, okay.
2 years from the commencement date. And
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other discussion from the council? Okay, since this is an important issue, and I know there are a lot of people here for this, do we have comments from the public? No? Okay, if you come to the podium, please, and if you please state your name for the record.
I'm Dudley Wiggins from the Parliament, and I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of the Economic Council of Jody. I want to thank you all for your tremendous work on this and your responsibility for this. Y'all have discussed this and taken everything into consideration. I think you all have dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's. There may be a few other things that you all have approved in future meetings. But you all are here to be ready to accomplish saving taxpayer dollars, which is one of the most important things for this COVID-19 reduction. I'm sorry. I've always been told that. Obviously, the reduction in tax dollars, and that's going to be very important this year. And you all have made a tremendous effort, and I think it's taking care of the employees. The Economic Council recommends that you all adopt this.
Thank you. Thank you, Wes. Okay, before we vote, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. Steve Dodge, 209, Lee Secretary. And I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody, I'm just speaking personally because, I have been downsized, laid off, whatever you want to call it. And there is a life after that. I appreciate all of you guys. I know that there's been tax personally, and this has happened in a public forum. It's been difficult. You're dealing, like you say, you're dealing with people's livelihood, you're dealing with people's lives and all that kind of stuff. I was talking to somebody today and they said, it's a business decision. It is a business decision, and I understand that, there are people involved and I like I say, it was a difficult thing to go through, but, you wake up the next day and life goes on. And I said, well, it is a business decision, but it did not move at the speed of business, it moved at the speed of government. Because if this had been Steve Dobbs' fire department and Wes Williamson's fire department, this would have been over 15 months ago. It would have been very quick. But I appreciate you guys, going through this. I think you have done from, you know, the best job that you could do with, you know, the tools that you have. And from a personal, I just appreciate y'all's dedication to this and pushing this. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Okay, other council comments before we?
I'd like to make my comments, because everybody knows in here how I'm gonna vote, so I'd like to make comments. First of all, if we want to save tax money, I think it's an issue of saving tax money versus services. The city is here to provide services for the citizens. That's all reason it exists. So I think you have to look at is the savings worth the services that we will be giving up. Secondly, if you wanted to save, you know, and I know this has been proposed before, probably will propose again. If you want to save tax money, we just do it in the city if we don't have any city taxes. So I don't, you know, there are times when there's time to save money and there's times when you have to pay for that service. Secondly, this is a major change to our city. Our city has provided fire service, and I should know that date because I was probably here at that time, but since 1917 or 1915 when the city was founded, I don't know if we had a fire department at that time. I assume we probably did. So for over 100 years, that's a service that we've provided to the city. So this is a major change to the way our city government operates. I would have preferred that if we were going to make such a major change, that we would have had a referendum and let the voters decide if that's what they want to do. Because this is a major change to our city. Second, next is if you'll notice, we have a great crowd here at our city council meeting tonight. This is probably one of the biggest crowds we've had in a long time. But we all know that very few people come to a city council meeting. I would suggest to you that the number of people that have come to this, on this subject, is far above anything we've had in recent history. Several of those have spoken for it, but I would submit to you that the majority of people that have taken the time to come to our meeting have spoken against it. And I think that's just a microcosm of the number of people that in this community that probably feel that. Next, if we were going to do this and you truly want to save the city taxpayer money, you would do it in a way that creates the fire tax in the city administered by the county. And there is a way to do that from what I understand. And therefore, we would not be funding this out of tax money. And I know at some point we may enact our own fire tax or whatever we may do. But if you truly want to save tax money, that's the way to do it. To do a fire, the county just takes the service over, they do the fire tax, and then they go from there. I strongly, and I object to completely giving the vehicles to the county. City taxpayers pay for those vehicles. Those vehicles will still be used to service city taxpayers, but they will also be used to service the unincorporated area. And I feel like that there should be some reimbursement for those pieces of equipment, some type of prorated share. Inspection fees, I think we should get some type of collection. Almost anybody gets a collection fee if they're, I think even the state allows you a collection fee on your sales taxes. So there should be some consideration there. I guess the one thing that, and this is going to be controversial, and I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but I feel like I have to say it. This decision is going to be made by 5 people sitting up here. One of those people will not be here after January. 2 of the people have indicated they may not be here in 2 more years. So 3 of the 5 will not be here long after this decision is made. So I Okay, any other discussion? We'll vote on the motion then to approve the interlocal. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So the motion carries, so we have our marching orders. Staff, you have your marching orders. We will go ahead with that process. The last item was the item that was added to the agenda. It was given to you as you came in tonight, item E. We need a motion to approve a temporary street closing application submitted by First Baptist Church to close Southwest Full Street between Southwest Fifth and Sixth Avenues and the 400 block of Southwest Fifth Avenue on October the 31st, 2020 for the Fall Family Festival. Exhibit 7, you were giving us your pledge. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Clark, second by Councilmember Abney to approve the temporary street closing. I'm glad to see they're going ahead with their fall festival. That's great, because I know a lot of things are canceled, so I'm glad to see that. Something for our young people to do for that time. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We'll now move to Gary Ritter Council comments. Councilmember Abney. Thank you. Councilmember Gerald?
Yes. I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like the council is 5 people. When you take a vote, I don't care if it's 3-2 or 4-1 or whatever, you should respect the other council, and that should be the end of it. The mayor, you brought up a lot of issues at the end of the discussion here, but you made your decision when this motion was made 18 months ago. You didn't wait for the facts, you didn't wait for the information, you made your decision back then. And by your comments tonight, I'm disappointed that you don't respect the council members, whether it's a 3-2 vote or if it's a 4-1 vote. And, you know, you want to say that Wes is leaving, yes, he's here for 4 years or his term. Bobby and I are here for our term. And during that term, we are obligated to make what we feel is the best decisions for the city. We're not here to sit here and wait. We only got 2 years and say, no, we're not going to vote on anything. We just have to sit here for 2 years and do nothing. That's not why we were elected, and that's not my obligation. My obligation is to the city taxpayers, and that's all the taxpayers. Whether you're a business or you're a resident, it's a taxpayer. And that's why I'm here, and I'll always vote. And when I leave this meeting, if I'm on the losing side, and if it's 4-1 or 3-2, whatever, when I leave here, I respect this council, and I'm not going to put you down outside. Whatever the council decides, I'm going to accept that, and once I leave this meeting, that's over. And I hope I don't hear on the radio tomorrow or read in the paper that someone was totally against this. We've decided, and we've taken 18 months to decide it. We've got all the information, we've got the facts. The vote tonight was on the facts. And the firemen had nothing to do with them not doing their job. They've done an excellent job. I haven't been here all those years, but I don't have one complaint of the fire department. And I'm happy that some of our council really wanted to make sure they were taken care of, and I think we've done that. We've done the best we can do to make sure that they have the opportunity to go somewhere else and pick up their life. I thank them, and there'll be a lot of things between now and next June when this happens, and hopefully that we're all together and we can represent the city up here as a council, and we represent them on a positive. I see so many councils around the state that fight at every meeting. I want to make sure that we respect each other, and we will accept whatever that vote is. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Key. Councilmember Clark.
I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work, and I'm very happy that we finally came to a decision after 18 months, because I don't know that my husband could handle being up on the city council much longer. So I thank everyone, and I hope, I talked to the firemen, I just want to let you know, I did talk to the firemen, and they were very appreciative that we finally did a severance package for them to make them whole, and gave them some alternatives. And because I think what happened is we really lacked the communication with them initially, for them to feel like that we were really taking care of them or looking out for them. And I think they feel better about that now. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, aside from the fire contract, is I gave people the Okeechobee County event calendar. I'm a member from the city council. I represent the city council on the Tourist Development Council for the county. And one of the things that we have a slight reduction in taxes, tourist tax coming back into the county budget, but it's very, very small. And one of the reasons is because they have never stopped trying to get events coming into our county to bring tourists into our county. So I gave everybody this schedule, and I've been asking as a member of that council that we continue to do an events calendar, and I gave it to everyone tonight to show you what we have scheduled through September of 2021. And I also wrote in this War Ready football championship, and Denise is the one that brought this championship to Okeechobee in her new position, November 18th through the 22nd. We have no hotel rooms left for this weekend. We have 80 teams coming to Okeechobee that weekend. And I felt it was really important that we gave this information to the hotels and the RV parks and the restaurants, and let people know that this was happening, because we have so many people coming, and I want to know because I'm getting out of town. And so, because my business does not benefit from this. So anyway, but I thought we've been doing a great job. We're getting a lot of fishing tournaments. We're getting a lot of high school rodeos, which is kind of essential to what we were looking for in Okeechobee County. So I wanted everyone to have a copy of this.
That's great. Thank you, and thank you for your service on the PDC. I know it's one of those jobs that takes a lot of time, but yeah, there's a lot of events, and it does bring a lot of the road. I know the rodeos bring some money to town.
Well, we're talking minimum, each of these events is bringing about $600,000 into Okeechobee, some of them over $1 million. And because even the football team, they're coming in on Wednesday, and they have to come with their family. It's youth football. They're coming with their families, and they're going to be here through Sunday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.